Hey guys, welcome back to the No Holds Barred Network with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the EVP Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, Tiffany, and we're on episode 99. I love it, and I'm here with my friend Bam Sullivan. What is going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm great. We had a little technical problems, but we're good. We're definitely good. So here we are. Guys, let me know in the chat if there's any issues. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you guys got questions in the chat, I'm sure Bam will be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys got.
Oh yeah.
So you lay about him. He's ready. So John Perry's in the chat. He says, this is awesome. Awesome. I'm glad that you're hyped because I'm hyped too. But yeah, so here guys, if you're new to the channel here, I interview everything related to independent wrestling. So I got wrestlers, referees, promoters, behind the scenes, anything in independent wrestling, I got you guys covered. So yeah, so shoot those questions. I see you, John. That was actually my first question. So, but I'll actually give you some credit over there. So we're gonna start this up. So John Perry wants to know, how did you become a wrestler?
So I got into wrestling when I was 13 years old as a fan, and I was very overweight, but I always wanted to be a wrestler from that point forward. And I scouted around my area here on Long Island, New York, and I found the New York Wrestling Connection, NYWC, and I went on their website, and all the dudes and all the girls, they were just like in great shape, and they looked like what I saw on TV, and that's where I got my start, NYWC.
It's so crazy because that's where I found you. It's round, full circle, as I always say. It's really crazy, and it's crazy to watch people evolve from their characters. So, but it was really funny. Since we brought this up, I was gonna bring this up later. I'm gonna blow your mind because, I told you that I knew you for this before. So I want to piggyback. I was gonna piggyback off of your girl's question, but we're gonna go straight into this, and I'll come back to her question later because I know that you used to be in the Hounds of Hatred at SWA, and Victoria was also part of that as well. And she's come out with the doll, and then she got tombstoned by Tommy Dreamer.
It
So. It's crazy that, like I said, I was gonna bring this up later into the show, but since you brought it up, let's go there with that. So, but you got to work with like a legend and some of your memories back there. Like, give me a little bit of it.
Yeah, so that was it was an interesting time. When you first get into wrestling, a lot of the times you're kind of like given, a character or something. You don't really have a lot of control over what you want to do. So my manager at GameStop at the time was David, who was Boo, was my big giant monster tag partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I met him at GameStop actually, and we kind of joined the school together. And for whatever reason, Stockade took a liking to us. And then at like one show at like the bar, Shane from NYWC walked over to Victoria and was like, you should like, a valet Bam or whatever. And of course, one thing led to another, and now we're this group, and we're kind of like this like Rob Zombie-esque House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects type of deal. The character didn't resonate with me completely. It was tough, but I got to do some really cool stuff. Like you mentioned, I got to work with Tommy Dreamer. I got to work with Mikey Whipwreck. I got to work with the Spirit Squad. Mike Mondo and Kenny. I got to work with Nunzio. Really cool stuff. So yeah, it was a very fun, interesting time in my life.
Yeah, definitely is. It was just really funny because I was in the car the other day with Jimmy, Jumbo Man, the ref. So we were talking about this, and I'm like, it's so funny how, in a way, how I kind of got into independent wrestling because he told me to come to this promotion and watch him ref. And that's how I started coming to SWA. And I had a lot of fun times at SWA, and I've seen a lot of wrestlers, and it's amazing to see the journey that a lot of people have gone. Like you mentioned Stockade, and Stockade's over H2O and Mouse. So I love blowing you guys away that, and you and me talked about this in person when I brought up SWA, because it was such a long time ago.
Oh my God, I know. And it wasn't like, really, like, realistically speaking, it was only like 5 years ago, but it just feels like decades.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that person is anymore. You know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, I see all you guys in the chat. Let me get in here and like give you guys some love. Brad's in the chat. He says, "Yo." Kate's in there. She goes, "Hello, I'm hyped." Frankie Picard. He goes, "Bam Bam, the man."
Love Picard.
He's so great. Brophy. He goes, he's all right. Nick Papa Gorio says, "Hey, buddy." Bryce, what's up, Bryce? He goes, "Bam has the best mustache."
Oh, stop. I appreciate it.
Bryce, he goes, "Tiffany mustache him a question." Well, it was funny because that was one of actually the fan tweets that they wanted to remain anonymous, but they wanted to talk about, like, where did the mustache came, what is the grooming process, and everything to do with it.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but in professional wrestling, there's about 1 million bald, bearded guys, and it's very difficult to stand out. So one day, I just decided to, grow a ridiculous mustache and hope that would kind of separate me. Like, for instance, like I try to think of like the casual fan or like the new fan,
right?
And when they leave the show and they're describing what the wrestlers looked like, I wanted something that would help set me apart. If you said, "Oh, one guy was bald and bearded and he wore all black," I mean, that's like 10,000 wrestlers, right there. So I figured the mustache, the eyebrow, the ears, just anything I could do to kind of separate myself,
right,
from the rest, visually speaking.
Right.
And in terms of the grooming process, I blow dry my beard every day. I condition it every 2 days. I usually use hairspray to maintain my mustache. Although recently I've switched over to Death Grip Wax, which, by the way, is incredible.
Ooh. So we got to get you like sponsored by them.
Yes.
Sponsor him. Sponsor him. Okay. I love this idea, though. Good Cop, Bad Cop says, with Bam being an anagram of Mab, a character from Shakespeare, what is your favorite work from the Bard? # no holds barred.
What's my favorite work from the what?
The Bard. BARD.
The Bard?
He likes to stump everybody in my interviews, just so you know.
Bro, you're killing me. The Bard? What is that?
He'll come back and explain, because I don't even know what.
Yeah. I'm not big with like Shakespearean, literature. I don't know.
Okay, wait. There's more stuff in the chat. John wants to know, so what's your Twitter to follow you? I was gonna do all the socials after, but I mean, since you're asking, you could tell your Twitter. We'll go back later.
Yeah, I got you. So I don't know if you know Dan Barry at all. He's a fantastic wrestler. He gave me some priceless advice to make all your social medias the same name. So if you're ever curious, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I don't know, YouTube, everything, it's at Bam Sullivan. That's it. No underscores, no numbers, no special characters. Just at Bam Sullivan. Thank you.
A Good Cop, Bad Cop said Bard is a nickname for Shakespeare.
Well, then I'm going to have to tell you Romeo and Juliet, because is that even Shakespeare? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, all right. That one.
I'm sorry. He does it to everybody that comes. So don't feel type of way, because he does it to everybody.
Oh, it's all good. We're live. We're live.
We're having fun, and that's what all matters around here. So let's move on. So it was funny because I was gonna bring this up, and Cody Hewlett on Twitter had asked this too. What were your thoughts against your match with Alex Colon at TOS? But I also want to talk about like how before the fact, Alex Colon talks so highly about you, and that he loved how you came in his face, and throughout the match, the fans like the fans like turned. You and me talked about this, that you came in kind of like baby face, and then during the match you kind of flipped and the fans turned and like went like total heel. Like, so I want to talk about everything with TOS because it was amazing. And I'm sorry that we ran out of streamers for you, but we made up for it at H2O for you.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. So the whole TOS thing, it was very interesting to me because I've never, at least as far as I know, I've never had to work with a guy who felt some type of way about me, and if they did, it was on the hush and I never knew about it. With Alex Colon, I mean, all right, so when I saw the announcement for TOS, I've never chased a booking like this before in my life. Just something clicked in my head and I'm like, I want this booking. I want to be on this show. I think I deserve to be on this show. So I reached out to GCW. I got no response. A few days later, I reached out, no response. A week later, I reached out, no response. So I'm like, fuck, what do I have to do here? So I decided to use Twitter, which, let me tell you, not just Alex Colon, but it pissed a lot of people off. And no one will tell me names, but everybody will tell me that people were coming out and messaging, oh, what the fuck, why, what a shitty way to get into the tournament, blah, 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 whatever. So I actually annoyed a lot of people. But it's all well and good. Everyone's opinionated. It's cool. I got on the show, and when I saw that tweet from Alex Colon, so when they announced the match, when they announced that I was on the show, I was on cloud nine, and I don't get excited or happy a lot, and I was thrilled. And like 10 minutes later, I see this fucking subtweet from Alex Colon where he doesn't even mention my name, but I read it and I'm like, fuck, man, the shoe fits. This is 100% about me. So I liked and I retweeted it to kind of like, jab him a little bit. Like, hey, man, I saw the tweet, And a few minutes later, he sends out a second tweet, this time including my name.
Wow.
And that was all real. That was no storyline. We weren't even setting up for a match. He just really fucking hated the way I got on the show. And so that was a huge test for me because on top of it being my GCW debut, in one of the biggest tournaments of the year, with a guy who doesn't fully like me. So that was really interesting. When I came out, I was a babyface for like 35 seconds.
Yeah.
I come out, everyone's singing Astro Zombies, my theme song. It's like one of the coolest things ever. There's 1,000 people singing, my entrance song. It was like, you dream of that shit.
Right.
And the moment Alex Colon comes out, it was just over for me. They I don't know. They woke up. I don't know. They just decided that it's Alex Colon's night. They don't like me.
Yeah.
So they turned me, and I did the best I could to roll with it. I smile a lot, which only pisses them off even more. And it was the coolest experience of my life. I can't, to achieve that natural high again, it would take a lot. That was so far the pinnacle, and I hope there's more.
Oh man, it was great. It's like you never know who's ever gonna show up for GCW, and that's one promotion that the fans, if you have not gone to a GCW show, get tickets to a GCW show. One of my friends just texted me before this interview and said she tried to get tickets and it was sold out for LA, so she can't go, but she knows like I'm always talking about GCW. But that is such a crowd, and to be a part of that. Like,
yeah, I mean that's all I ever wanted. Yeah. I want that visceral crowd that they're hot, they're engaged. When I first started training in 2015, CZW was the crowd. That was the crowd you wanted to wrestle in front of. They're rabid. They'll call you out on your shit. If you mess up, they'll boo you. Like I wanted that intimidating, visceral crowd. Yeah. Obviously, CZW hasn't really ran a lot, so GCW has there's like a rocket strapped to their back, and they've just been exploding in the last few years.
Right.
So, growing up and going back and watching those ECW tapes, I wanted to experience that. And GCW, hands down, the best crowd you can probably wrestle in front of ever.
Oh, yeah. Definitely go check it out, guys, if you haven't gone. Big Red's in the chat. He goes, Bam doesn't fuck around when he has barbed wire wrapped around his microphone.
Yo, Big Red, how you doing, buddy? I actually so when I was streaming on Twitch for a little while, and I did fall off, admittedly, I just, I wanted to kind of like, gimmick my stuff up, make it look cool. So I ordered barbed wire off of, Amazon, and Daddy Bezos delivered this to me, and it's very sharp, and I forget it's there often. But yeah, it's just a little thing, little thing.
I love it. Brad says, knowing your love of music, has it influenced your character and work in any way? Rancid for life, brother.
Oh, dude, I'm a giant mark for Rancid. If it wasn't completely obvious, I call myself the Rancid Kid. I have the fucking traditional sailor skull. I wear the hat in my promos just like Tim Armstrong. Yeah, it's honestly, if you're into the punk scene, you could probably look at me and assume that Rancid is a huge influence on my character and what I do. Probably Misfits, Rancid, Guar, all giant influences, man.
Awesome. It's funny that Big Red's in the chat, because me and him had a conversation, and he said that he would love to face you. I mean, how amazing would it be for you guys who both are inaugural champions at H2O, since you're the first Danny Havoc champion, and he's the first undiscovered champion. So it's kind of cool. Like, so I know he would want this match. I mean, me and him talked about this. So, like...
Some stories just write themselves. You know, the first undiscovered champion, the first Danny Havoc champion. I've worked a lot. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I've worked quite a few of the students at H2O, and not just blowing smoke. They're all fucking great. They all have something unique about them. They're all super solid in the ring. One of the best schools, hands down. So I've wrestled Marcus Mathers. I wrestled Christian Ross. Have I wrestled Austin Luke? I'm not sure, but honestly, I want to go through them all. I want to face all of them. I don't see myself as like a gatekeeper or like one of the guys that you have to go through.
Right.
I still feel like I'm the new guy, but 100%. Anytime I have a chance to wrestle Big Red, let's fucking go.
Ooh. I'm for it. And Ryan said, no, you didn't face Austin Luke, so that's one of the ones I guess you're going to have to hit off the list too as well.
Oh yeah. I want to go through them all. I want to see Sean Henderson I wrestled too.
Yes.
I want to see all their strengths, all their weaknesses. I want to wrestle with them. I'm excited. I want to wrestle the up and coming kids.
It's great. And if you guys notice like that, I've been putting on a lot of the talent of H2O. I've been doing a lot of the backstage interviews for you guys to see a lot of the kids. And what I love about each kid is that their dynamic is very different from the other. So one could be very like high flyer, where another one can be very mat related. So I love that about all the kids, and even a bunch of the vets that come in, they say the same thing. I want to wrestle all the kids. So H2O, if you guys haven't checked it out by now, especially with me shoving it down your throat, get on the H2O train. Like,
and like you said, just to piggyback on that for a moment, there really is something for everybody.
Yeah.
You have your mat-based grapplers, you have your high flyers, you have your technical guys, you have your pure characters, you have your hardcore guys. H2O it's just so well rounded.
Yeah. That's the nice thing too, is that I finally was able to go to one of the student shows last week, and I enjoyed it. So it's good because like I have friends like if they have kids, so like they don't want them around deathmatch wrestling. So if you want something that's just regular, you're not going to really see blood. You got your student shows. You have your student pay-per-view kind of shows, and then you have your, like you said, like your deathmatch shows. So that's what I love about H2O. You got a little bit of 100%. So let's talk about this. So you've been in singles matches, you've been in tag team, you've been in 3-ways, 4-ways, death matches. Is there a type of match that you would like to cross off your bucket list?
Yes, cage match. Ooh. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I've done ladder matches, fans bring the weapons, home run derbies, the kitchen sink. I've done every fucking match you could possibly think of on an independent level. I even did like some indie Royal Rumble once many years ago. 100% a cage match. If it could be the barbed wire cage at H2O, so be it. But I would love to tell a story inside of a steel cage and think creatively on how we can use different parts of the cage. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Brad asks in the chat, he goes, speaking of the Danny Havoc Championship, when you found out you were winning, what was your reaction, especially how much he means to H2O and wrestling in general?
So my reaction was fucking terrified. Like, I have terrible imposter syndrome, and going into that tournament, you have your Alex Colognes, you have your Lucky 13s, you have your Connor Claxtons, you have your Eric Ryans. I mean, like, the list goes on of all the guys who were very deserving of that championship and who knew Danny very personally for a very long time. So I was very nervous. I felt like I didn't deserve it. I was nervous what the crowd reaction was going to be. Of course, the selfish side of me was like, I couldn't be more appreciative and honored and humbled that, you know, Matt fucking Tremont put the stamp of approval on me. Yeah. You know, like, how fucking cool is that? So it was a combination of excitement and an absolute. I was horrified. I was completely horrified, but super grateful. Again, I know I said TOS too. One of the coolest moments of my life was winning that championship.
Very, very cool. I feel like I became more in love with H2O because of Last Extravaganza. And I always like to say that, like, I tell Dylan all the time. I was like, Dylan's like my first student love of like H2O because of him jumping off and doing the shooting star press. So like, it's funny. It's just like every student over there has like different meaning to me. And I feel like Last Extravaganza was so, you know, I feel like with a lot of people too, but that was such an important moment. Matt retiring. I mean, we can talk about that, like, you know, what that meant to you as well.
Yeah. Honestly, it was one of the best death matches I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, you can get rid of all the weapons, and it was one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. It just goes to show, man, like, it's the cool stuff is cool, you know, but when you have that story there, that's when you get emotionally invested, at least for me. You know, everyone's different. But for me, watching that match, watching someone that I consider a friend and a mentor, you know, tell this beautiful story against one of the best bad guys, you know, in the fucking scene, was just awesome. And even like using Havoc's finisher, everything about it was amazing. Yeah. It's very hard, you know, if anyone watched like all the Undertaker stuff, it's very hard to like go out on that note. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that was the best note you can go out on, in my opinion. One of the coolest moments I got to witness live.
Yeah. I kind of like wish that I was there for it, and I like kicked myself. I'm like, damn, but I'll be there this year. Like, I'm coming for that whole weekend. Like, I will be backstage covering all this. I need to, because it's just, it's so exciting. Like, great stuff over there. Kate says, H2O has become one of my favorite companies in a very short amount of time. David Russell says, Bam Open Challenge student match. I like that idea.
Hey, I'm down. As far as I know, you know, I don't really know where I'm going from here. If we can do like a monthly, you know, student step up shit, you know, let's go. Ooh, I'm ready, man.
Let's do it. Captain Dave says hi. David Russell says, I got to get back to H2O. I really miss the magic of wrestling at H2O and friends. Yes. Get your butt down. We'll talk about the shows that are coming up later in this interview, but let's stick on to some other questions. So I saw you at Deathiversary. If you guys go back to the episode of Indie Talks on the No Holds Barred Network, you'll see me and Bam had a little chat. But you and me talked off cam, and we talked about being face and being heel. And it's so funny because I feel that you're so good at being a heel, but you told me you prefer to be a face, but you're so good at being a heel. Like,
you know, being a heel is cool because you get to, like, you know, you get to be a dick, and you know, it's like yin and yang. You know, all good has a little bit of bad, and all bad has a little bit of good. So a lot of the times, you know, when I'm doing a heel shtick, like, you know, sometimes it's the truth. You know, the things I really believe I'm saying, just obviously very much exaggerated for the sake of, you know, entertainment. But it's nice because you get to say things and you get some leeway there,
Right.
and you get to have fun with it. And a lot of the times, in my opinion at least, the heels can kind of be a little bit more entertaining because they don't have to be so, goody goody, cookie cutter, white meat baby face. You get to kind of have fun there and be an asshole, and that's cool to kind of get that out.
Yeah.
But I do prefer being a baby face because it's much more in line with who I am in real life. And I like doing all my cool stuff, and I do that a lot more often when I'm a baby face. And there's just something about coming out, and the crowd is just like, they're just up for you, and it's an awesome feeling.
I love personally heels better. I mean, it doesn't matter. If I like you, I like you. It doesn't really matter. But I like to have fun with the heels. So, and just so you guys know, some of them I secretly tell them that they're allowed to come at me because I'll clap back at them. But it's all fun, like it's not, some people take it way too serious and get really crazy when you go to the shows. Like, I've experienced it way too much where it gets like out of hand with the fans, and it's like, dude, like relax. Like we're just having fun. It's a show. It's not that serious. But like, I want to throw streamers. I want to clap back and tell, like, who was it? Edward Hawkins was like, give me red, white, and blue streamers. I'm like, you ain't getting shit. Like, so, but this is the fun thing to clap back. And I'm sure, like, you guys, like, appreciate any kind of reaction.
Love it. Love it. Come to the shows and you can heckle me all night if you want. I will find a way to have fun with that and throw it right back at you, and hopefully, get a few laughs out of it. I'm all on board. Please heckle the shit out of me.
It's all good fun. We need some fun. There's too much negative out there. So it's like, that's why I always say, like, don't be quiet at shows. Have fun, scream, throw streamers, piss people off. Because that's what I do at H2O. I throw streamers and I make everybody upset because they got to clean it up. But please, it looks cool.
We love it. Like you said, I get it. I know that there's a lot of times where, the building is hot. Yeah. And it's been a long night and you've already seen, 6-7 fucking matches already. But if you can find a way to get that energy reserve and just communicate with us and interact with us, we'll do the same, and hopefully it'll be a fun time.
Well, you guys could always count on me because I don't care. Like, I'll lose my voice the next day. It's worth it to get involved with the crowd. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
I get it all the time. It's great. We have some fan tweets. I have a couple of them from Metal. His first question is, where did you come up with the trash with the stash nickname?
So I'm not a very deep sentimental person. A lot of my tattoos are meaningless. A lot of my nicknames are meaningless. I was just sitting down and I figured, okay, what's the most unique trait about me when just looking at me based strictly on appearance? And it's obviously my stupid fucking mustache. So I'm like, okay, what rhymes with stash? Brash, trash. And I feel like when I'm a heel or whatever, I kind of look like a trashy guy. So trash with a stash. It just came to me. It just came to me.
It's like when Casey said she's trash. And then it's funny because, like, if I play around with her on Twitter, and then I'm like, it's okay, she's trash or whatever. And then I get, like, attacked. And I'm like, you realize that's the gimmick, right? Like, I'm not calling her trash. She's one of my closest friends. Like, it's gimmick. Like,
oh, absolutely. Listen, trash, it could be endearing. I mean, what's his face from the fucking Muppets? Sesame Street lives in a trash
Oscar
can.
the Grouch.
Oscar, yeah. He seems pretty happy.
You're like, he seems pretty happy. I'm dead. Metal's second question, we kind of touched base on it, but I am going to read his question. He says, being the first Danny Havoc hardcore champion, what was going through your mind when you won it?
All right, so when I won it, was a much different feeling because the crowd was very receptive to me winning. So it kind of calmed my insecurities down. It kind of reiterated to me that, like, okay, I'm here for a reason. I deserve this spot. And to hear the reception, even though I started bleeding out in the match and we kind of had to, get things going here. So we didn't get to do all that we wanted to do. But hearing how receptive the crowd was and being given a microphone and to cut this promo in front of the Danny Havoc banner and the crowd's up and the the spooky dust is all over the place, and we're bleeding, and it was just such a cool, visceral moment. And everything I said in that promo, I 100% meant. So it was really cool to kind of share my story out there too with everybody else.
That's awesome. His last question is, if you could have a match with any current wrestler in the world, who would it be, and what is the match stipulation?
Nick Gage, 100%. I'm sorry. I know it's not the most unique answer. I'm sorry it wasn't some obscure person from fucking Idaho, but Nick Gage is 100% the guy that I want to wrestle. It could be any match. It could be a regular match. It doesn't have to be a death match. Could be a death match, not opposed. Whatever he wanted is totally cool by me. But right now, in my opinion, there is nobody in independent wrestling, maybe even on television, who connects with their audience like Nick fucking Gage.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
The dude comes out. It doesn't matter what the mood is in the room. The dude comes out, and everybody just fucking comes up, and they push him, and he pushes them back, and it's all fucking awesome. That guy. 100% Nick Gage.
Well, I'll definitely tell you this because I'm very close friends with Metal. I know he will appreciate that, and Brad, I'm sure I appreciate it. I feel like because we're so big into the indies, so for us, like, that's big for us, I feel like. So we appreciate that. I definitely tell you that. So I would be very excited to see that match down the line. So.
Yeah, like I said, Nick Gage, and it'd be cool for me because there'd be a lot of mystery going into that match. How are they going to respond to me coming out against their fucking hero?
Yeah.
So I like that element of the unknown, and I think Nick Gage and I would mesh very well together.
It's interesting to see, right? Like the fan base off some fans, and like you said it exactly that, the connection again, like being live even at TOS, right? And it's like him coming out, and like you see everybody running to go to like where his entrance. It's insane. Like,
oh my god.
And it's like mosh pit kind of like deal. Dude, and
it's a mob scene, and us, independent, even on wrestlers in general, we yearn for that kind of connection, and he comes out and it's effortless.
Yeah.
I admire that. I respect that.
Yeah, definitely. So good. Maybe one day I'll be able to get him on the podcast. We'll see, guys. That'd be kind of like a cool interview to do. So let's move on to another fan tweet. Well, actually, this is a fan one from Instagram. And it was funny because, like, I get alerts on my phone when I get comments. And I saw this, and it said, "Why are you so hot?" Just kidding. I bust out laughing, and like my instant reaction was, oh, it's kind of like a deal of my whole list the husbands thing. And then when I looked at who it was, I was like, oh, okay, this makes all sense now. So but I was like, it was your girlfriend. So it was Victoria. And then, but that was funny. She's like, why are you so hot? Just kidding. But what's your favorite wrestling memory of all time?
Well, I'm glad that she's just kidding about her attraction towards me. That's fantastic. I'm sorry. What was the real question? What's my favorite memory?
Yeah, what's your favorite memory?
For me, wrestling personally.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I'm beating a dead fucking horse here, but it's TOS.
Okay.
TOS and the Danny Havoc belts. They're neck and neck, man. Coolest moments, and I hope to have some more of those in the future.
Yeah, I love that she got involved with this. I just like I said, when I saw that, I just like bust out laughing. I was like, that's so funny. And then when I realized that it was her, I was like, oh, how cool. I was like, I love it.
Oh yeah, no, she's a sweetheart. I love her to death.
But that was again like even earlier when we were talking about SWA, and I was like, how funny is that? And we were talking about how she used to come out with the little doll, and it's so funny. Brad says, did you always know you wanted to be a deathmatch wrestler? And who were you main influence on your hybrid style?
All right. So, no, I never wanted to be a deathmatch wrestler ever in my life. I didn't even know what it was, honestly, up until I started training, because I trained in New York, which is very close to, New Jersey, Philadelphia, where that style is very prominent. So I didn't even know deathmatch wrestling really existed. I started watching wrestling in 2005. So I just missed the Attitude Era, ECW, all that stuff. So when 2006 came and WWE brought back the ECW brand, I know it gets a lot of hatred, but for me, that was my first exposure to that kind of wrestling. And of course, I went back and I watched old tapes and everything. So I always wanted to do a little bit of hardcore stuff, always. You know, barbed wire, tables, whatever. That stuff always appealed to me. But I had the very poor preconceived notion that deathmatch wrestlers were just out-of-shape dudes, just hitting each other with nonsense, and there's no story to it. It was just bullshit.
Right.
And very thankfully, I was educated, and I learned, and I grew to appreciate this style. And I did some hardcore, you know, because NYWC has a yearly show called the Psycho Circus, and the main event is always some sort of a hardcore match. So I got my feet wet, you know, with the hardcore stuff. And then I ended up working a program with Stockade, Logan Black, and Matt Tremont at a company called Five Borough Wrestling, which was in Queens or the Bronx or whatever. And I guess I just got on Tremont's good graces, and he invited me down to Subterranean Violence, and that was my first ever death match, and it was against Jeff Cannonball. And by death match, I mean glass. And I immediately fell in love with the feeling, the energy, the adrenaline, the reactions. Like I loved it. It was the worst thing that could have happened to me because now I fucking love it. And it's in terms of my influences, honestly, you're never gonna guess. You know, I always wanted to be a Chris Jericho. I always wanted to be an Eddie Guerrero. I always wanted to be a Kurt Angle. I loved the ruthless aggression, grappling, very intense style. And it's funny just how sometimes life just carries you in a different direction.
Yeah, it definitely does. Oh, I'm just thinking about that's one of the things I also like about H2O is that if you do have like a whole bunch of death matches, that you have like different stipulations every match. So maybe it's just like glass, or maybe it's just like barbed wire or thumbtacks.
You really need that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think a great wrestling show is a variety show.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of something for everybody. No match is exactly the same. So when I'm on a deathmatch show and they made the effort to make each match special in its own way, I think that's the right way to do things.
Right. It's funny because like I bring SWA up again, and actually I need to make this happen. I got to do this after this podcast. I need to get Johnny Malloy on the podcast because I don't know if I told you that story, that the first time I didn't know about deathmatch either, and he took skewers into the head, and I got up and I left SWA.
Yes, I think it was Masada, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was there for that. Like even in the back or something. I remember that.
I just and I told him this story. I told him this at the bar after one of the Full Faith Wrestling shows. We're at the bar. We're sitting there, and I'm telling him, I was like, do you know? I was like, do you know? I was like, he's like, you were there for that? He's like, I remember that. He was like, yeah, I got yelled at. He's like, for that show, because he took skewers. And I wasn't the only one that got up and walked out of the show. But I wasn't prepared. When you're not prepared, you know, for something like that, it's a lot. It
is a lot.
Yeah.
100%. Like you're seeing this dude with this fucking porcupine gimmick in his head. It's terrifying. And I took skewers against Atticus Cogar at the Fight Forever show, the 24-hour GCW show. And let me tell you, man, that's up there as some of the worst shit I've ever taken in my life. It was horrible.
I believe it. It's a lot when you're not ready for it. So I always warn people if they come to certain shows. I'm like, okay, this is death match, or you're gonna see blood, or you're gonna see this.
Yeah.
You gotta be prepared.
You might not even know what you're looking at. You know, it's very bizarre to a lot of people. So
yeah. Me and Alex Cologne had talked about that on the podcast of all the different. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so we got some fan tweets from Kate. Okay, so she said, what would you say has been one of your favorite matches that you have competed in? So let's change it. Let's not bring up TOS, and let's not bring Danny Havoc. So besides those two, what's been some of your favorite matches?
Oh man, I wrestled Alex Reynolds for NYWC in a regular wrestling match. That's 100% one of my favorites. I wrestled Blake Morris in a dog collar match, which is definitely up there as one of my favorites. I really enjoyed. I mean, I had a very unimpressive showing, but when I wrestled Jimmy Lloyd in Hardcore Kingdom 2, I loved that match because that was kind of like my initiation into this style of wrestling, and for the fans to accept me afterwards was very cool. So, I fought Kid Osborne when the pandemic first. It wasn't over, but when wrestling shows started to run again. It was Subterranean Violence, I believe 777, and I wrestled Kid Osborne in like a thumbtack light tube match. And it wasn't anything crazy, but that was my first match back, and we vibed so well together. So, those are some of my all-time favorites.
That's great. Kid Osborne's been on Under the Ropes, guys. If you haven't seen that interview, go check that out. I love Kid Osborne. He's one of the
Kid's the fucking man.
Yeah.
Kid's the fucking man. He's such a giant pain in the fucking ass. But he's so good. He's so good. Underrated as hell, man.
He really is. I always say this. I was like, he's so good in the ring. Book him more.
So
like.
Oh, and he's too good of a heel.
Oh,
so
he is.
I'm almost concerned that he really is a prick in real life. It comes too naturally to him. Don't tell me that you're not a little bit of a prick. But I love Kid. He's a great guy.
You're a prickhead. I can't. Her next question is, how can we support you, and is there any merchandise coming out?
So, I've always been terrible with merchandise. I'm kind of in a transitional period right now because the main company that I use right now for my merchandise is going through their own transitional period. So, it's a little bit of up in the air. But honestly, a follow on Twitter, a like, a retweet. I do have an online store. It's bamsullivanstore.com. I have 3 designs up there currently, and I have a brand new design coming out very, very soon. So honestly, like I said, social media engagement and bamsullivanstore.com, all that is very, very appreciated.
I love the new shirt. I have it up on the screen here. I love that you have like the red and the green. Like, what a cool shirt. So this one's going directly. You have to message you for these shirts, or
that's probably. Again, I hate the fact that I don't have a concrete answer for you guys, but I think I'm gonna do that one through me directly. But yeah, I used JCP Designs on Twitter. I saw a bunch of his designs. He did a bunch of stuff for a lot of the guys on TV. He does a lot of video game inspired designs. I really, really loved his work.
Yeah.
So I hit him up, and he was so easy to work with. And I felt so bad because I had no direction for him, which as a designer and an artist myself, sometimes it helps to kind of have an idea of what your client wants.
Right.
And I gave him nothing. I'm like, hey man, I'm really sorry, but like whatever you can imagine, here are my influences. And, it was constant communication. He always kept me up to date. His turnaround was really quick. I can't thank him enough. Super happy with that design. I love the fact that my face is so exaggerated looking. I love the blood. Super cool.
It's such a cool shirt. Like, I love it. Shout out to all the artists out there that work hard for everybody. Like, we appreciate you. Like, I appreciate you guys. Like, it's
100%.
Nuts. Where'd her other question go? Oh, she asked, do you have any pre-match rituals and things you do before a match to prepare yourself?
Yes, I panic all day. All day and the night before. I have internal anxiety attacks. I smoke a little bit of reefer, kind of like get my mind clear, and I panic all day, and I go into a trance where I'm very scared and frightened until the bell rings. I don't eat though. I never eat before I wrestle. I puked in 5 matches.
Oh, wow.
Projectile vomited in 5 matches. That was really cool. So I now I don't eat before I wrestle. But no real rituals. Just I just raw dog it, and I panic and hope that things turn out okay.
Oh man, that's like Casey. When I talk to Casey, and then usually she shops before.
Okay, listen. It feels good to shop. I get it. I get it.
Maybe you should shop. Maybe
should.
you should follow Casey, and maybe you should go shopping before and just go buy a bunch of unnecessary things that you need. That's the plan.
Yeah, and then you come home and there's a little smile on the Amazon box by your doorstep. How does that not feel good?
Yes. I can't. Kate's in the chat. She goes, "Thanks, Bam. You're the best." April's in the chat. She goes, "What's your favorite weapon to use in a death match?"
Oh man, I'm so sorry. It's nothing creative. I love light tubes.
Yes.
I will always love light tubes. I hate them, but I love them so much. There's so many things you could do with them. You could be so creative with them beyond just, the back and forth exchange that's been played out a million times. You can be so creative with them. They're very unpredictable. They can explode. They can pop. They can fly everywhere. The visual when the photographers get those shots,
oh my God.
I just love it. I fucking love it. Hate it, love it. Light tubes, 100%.
I have an obsession with light tubes. Kyle on our Ollie podcast, that's one of my nicknames, the Lady of the Light Tubes, because I'm just obsessed with them.
They're amazing. They're amazing, and they're so unpredictable. Like you can go through a light tube cabin and have barely a scratch.
Yeah.
Or you can slide in the ring and destroy your whole arm. So you never know what you're gonna get.
Crazy. But even you bring it up like with the photographers, which is so cool. Shout out to Earl Gardner and Chris Grasso. I love you guys. Earl's coming on next week for you guys. He'll be episode 101. So we're gonna talk with him. But these photos, I get really excited with a lot of the photographers too, because just the moments that you capture, it's so cool to look at. So definitely, I love my light tubes. It's crazy with the glass, but.
Yeah, they are, but it cannot be understated. They are the unsung heroes of independent wrestling. With no photos, there's nothing for us to promote. It helps out so much, and they do such quality work. I see them lugging in all their fucking lights and their backdrops, and it's a lot of work that they do. And it's sometimes it's a thankless job because they're behind the scenes, but cannot be understated. Earl Gardner, Chris Grasso, Red Shoes Media, all the photographers, they're great.
Yeah, so good. So yeah, Earl's coming on next Monday, so you guys, I'll announce that later on tonight, so you guys can see that. Brad says, "Is there anything you won't do in a death match? Any weapon that's automatically a no for you?" So
yes, I actually have a few no's, and that could change depending on the circumstance and how high stakes the match is. But I don't know if I would ever take a Kenzan. I don't know if I would ever do pigeon spikes. I would never do colored pencils ever in 1,000 years, or any pencils at all. I'm not trying to get lead poisoning. There's definitely another that I can't think of. Oh, scissors. Jimmy Lloyd got impaled by a scissor, and that was enough for me to say no. But 9.9 times out of 10, when I'm going over a match with somebody, it's all well and good.
Oof.
It's all well and good. But no, I don't have the Kenzan. I just don't know. I'm bald. I'm trying to preserve my head as much as I can, and when it gets really stuck in there, and you see the pliers and the skin comes up with the head and it pops. I don't know if I could ever do that, guys. I'm sorry if I let you down.
No. I always worry about you guys. I feel like I have to come with a giant med kit for you guys.
Honestly, it'd be very appreciated.
I'm gonna start carrying the med kit around.
Oh yeah.
Fan tweet from Duncan of H2O. He goes, "How has quitting your shoot job and going full time impacted your life, and how is it going so far?"
So it hasn't really started yet because I put in my 2 weeks. So it technically starts on the 14th, which is Wednesday. That'll be my last day at the shoot job. But I don't want to mislead anybody. I did not just cold turkey quit my job, and I'm not solely relying on wrestling. I have other skills. I do a lot of graphic design work. So I've stepped back with your traditional 9-to-5, and I've taken on more freelance gigs. So I do have other income coming in. I don't want to mislead anyone and think that I just, completely just went off the wall and I'm not and pursuing wrestling 100%. Mm-hmm. Wrestling is my goal to be my full-time income. And I needed a freelance job so that when I get bookings, I can just take them. I don't have to worry about coverage or switching or my travel days. Like now I can revolve my life around wrestling as opposed to the other way around. So it's frightening. I'm definitely going to take a hit on my income. I've had to make some lifestyle adjustments already, but I'm very excited to have that free time and energy to devote completely to wrestling.
Awesome. I have an infamous question that I ask everybody that comes on this podcast. What's the craziest thing a fan's done to get your attention?
Oh man, thankfully I haven't had any really crazy experiences. There was one dude who I wrestled Casanova Valentine at some point. I forget if it was NYWC or not, but there was just one fan who was very inebriated and not a fan of me at all.
Oh, man.
He was 100% like ready to hop the guardrail, in my face, visceral. Like it was not. It wasn't like, oh, I'm the heel and we're gonna boo. No, this dude was fucking tight. He hated me. So that was probably the closest I've come to like a crazy experience with a fan. But I've been very lucky. I've had no knives pulled on me. No, I haven't gotten mugged in the back. I've done pretty okay for myself.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna tell me like a funny story. That's not even funny. Like like people are crazy. Like what is wrong with you? Yeah. It's not that serious.
I have no idea. Listen, I hope he was having fun. It didn't seem like he was, but
what did he do to you?
But I don't know. Maybe I offended him in some way. But he was very hot, and that was cool. Listen, I love it. I'll smile and I'll make it hotter. I'm totally cool with that.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, all right. Well, hopefully you'll give me a really funny road trip story.
There's gotta be one.
Yeah.
I've never really been asked this question. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I'm always the driver. Always, and everyone falls asleep, so it kind of sucks.
Oh,
like
you guys suck.
Yeah, like I'll get in the car with Mouse to drive home or whatever, and within 15 minutes he's just like dead out completely, drooling, 100% asleep, and it's just me and my thoughts. But honestly, I wrestled in Delaware once, and that was probably the wildest trip because I got to Delaware. And it was just like, the 70s just never ended. It was so, no offense to anyone in Delaware, it was wild. There was like jorts everywhere, knee-high white socks, fanny packs, mullets. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. So unfortunately, no crazy trip stories. Mm-hmm. Although, you know what? I'm sorry. I did massacre a deer on the way home from H2O once. Oh, that was probably the craziest thing ever.
Oh my god!
Because I'm driving and Mouse sees the deer and he just goes deer, and I must have been like just like when you drive and you're not
like paying attention kind of like to anything else.
Exactly. You're like on autopilot, and I see the deer and I hit my brakes and we slide and we hit this deer. And it was like fucking Grand Theft Auto.
Oh,
this thing like ragdoll physics, like 30 feet in the air, and like we're going at the same time. So it's the car and the deer just flying in the air, and he hits the road and he slides like 30 more feet. I felt horrible because it was obviously a younger baby deer, or else I would have been annihilated. I felt very bad. Mouse decided that he's the deer whisperer, and he leaves the car and he like goes over to it, and it like props right back up and just runs into the woods, and it definitely died somewhere. No. But that was fucking crazy, and it was my mom's car.
Oh no!
And that was a great phone call.
Oh god!
Yeah.
The deer whisperer. I'm done.
Oh my god! It was the weirdest thing.
Oh god. So, wow, I'm like taken back. I didn't expect that, but okay, cool. So do you have any like goals like coming up that you want to achieve?
Yeah, I want to pay my bills with wrestling entirely. Mm-hmm. So whether that's becoming very successful on an independent level, or if that means getting a contract, or if that means television, whatever I can do, that's my goal right now. I want to be able to finance my entire life solely with wrestling, and I very much like entertainment, and I would like to perform on television on a national stage. So that is my goal, and I'm not getting any younger. You know, I'm 28. I feel like I'm getting there. So television, yeah, that's what I
Okay.
want to do.
Good goal. Good goal. Okay, so I have one final question for you. If you guys have any questions, feel free drop them in the chat. But my final question is, I always like to ask this to everybody. So, to all inspiring and amateur wrestlers out there, what's a piece of advice that you would give them?
So I'm gonna give you the best advice I can give, and I've tweeted about it a couple times, but everything is gonna start with your wrestling school. That's everything, because right now you're a clean slate. You know, you have no bad habits, you have no habits at all, and you want to join a good school that will instill good habits in you. I see a lot of bad schools on social media. I see a lot of people in the ring with their sneakers. I see a lot of students who are practicing their entrance and their finishers before they even know their basic chain. Those are all huge no-nos. So find a good school, do some research. By good school, I mean a school that has a reputation, has produced talent on television or on some stage, that have achieved some level of success. You know, look into the trainers, look at what they've accomplished. You know, if they wrestled at any point in time, I would certainly fucking hope so. Literally cannot be understated how important finding a good school is. It's the difference between being a successful professional wrestler and being a backyarder who will wrestle in front of 10 people for the rest of their lives. I was very lucky. I joined a great school, NYWC. It's great trainers, a great lineage, a lot of stars on television right now from that school. So I got very lucky. But finding a good school and hitting the gym, you know, and that's not to body shame anybody. I don't care what shape, I don't care what physical shape you are. You know, if you're a little heavier or a little shorter, whatever. If you're going to the gym, you're going to have an understanding of your basic core strength. You'll have a better hand-eye coordination. You'll have a better mind-muscle connection. You got to go to the gym. Find a gym membership and find a fucking good school, man. That is 100% the game changer, without a doubt.
Love it. Great advice. So I know there's a bunch of people that always like ask me, you know, they'll tweet at me, oh, what can I do? Or they're asking wrestlers, what's a piece of advice? So I always love asking because everybody's got different advice for everybody. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know that my advice, you've probably heard a million times, but it's just so important.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, there's a lot of schools out there that they're going to take your money and they're going to promise you a contract, and you're not going to learn anything the right way. You know, when you join a wrestling school, they all have their different curriculums, but generally speaking, you should learn your roles first, and then you should learn your basic chain, and those things should be drilled into you over and over again before you're even having matches in class. Right. So just keep an eye out for those things.
Awesome. So let's talk about what's coming up for you. So exciting stuff. We got some shows. I got some posters here for you guys. So JCW, I love that they came back. I've been at, I think, 2 of the 3 shows. Is it 2 of the 3? I'm so confused. Definitely went to the first one. So you're making your debut over there at JCW. How exciting.
Oh, my God. I'm super excited. JCW, the precursor to GCW. Super excited to be a part of that show. They showcase a lot of, you know, young, up-and-coming, very talented performers. So I'm in good company. I'm hoping I make a good first impression. But I have a JCW debut coming up, obviously, as you just mentioned. That'll be on the 24th. Mm-hmm. And then on the 25th, at Atlantic City, I have H2O. On the 17th coming up, I have H2O. And then I have some really cool stuff coming next month, too. I'll be making my debut in a couple different new states. So I'm very excited. Stay tuned.
Ooh, exciting. I always love to see that. I love to see when people I know, you know, show up at like other promotions all over the place. It's nice to watch your guys' journey wherever you guys go, whether it's like, oh, California or out to like Europe or something. It's always a fun experience. Jimmy's in the chat. Jumbo Man, the ref, we were talking about you earlier, Jimmy. So he says hi. So, but
Hi, Jumbo. How you doing, buddy?
Coming towards the end of this episode, but thanks for checking in over there. So H2O is coming up, JCW. I'm excited to see where else is covered, and I'm sure we'll have more backstage stuff that you'll see. That I'll be backstage at H2O a lot, so we'll do some stuff the next couple. Actually, this weekend and next weekend, so you'll see me. Jimmy says,
Excellent.
"What's up, bro?"
Who said that?
Jimmy. He's like, "What's up, bro?"
Oh, I'm chilling, man. How are you?
I love it. So tell everybody again, like if they want to follow you again, where they can buy your merch and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So, plugging my stuff at Bam Sullivan across all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook. TikTok, YouTube, everything. It's at Bam Sullivan. I'm the most active on Twitter, and if anyone was so kind as to support me via merchandise, BamSullivanStore.com. Just BamSullivanStore.com. I have 3 designs up there, and I have a new design coming shortly, which I'll obviously elaborate on the details as they come. But yeah, you can find me across all those platforms, and I appreciate any support.
There you go, and all the links are in the description below for you guys. So go give some love and all that fun stuff. But that's going to be the end of this interview. Bam, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, and all that fun stuff. Glad to.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Had a great time.
Me too. So guys, stay safe. Support independent wrestling, and tomorrow is episode 100. Anthony Gangone is coming back. My first episode.
Hell yeah! Let's fucking go. Love Gangone.
See,
he's the man.
It's so great. So guys, thanks again, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good night.